back on the Exit 52 podcast. It is Monday, July 1st. Shout out to Uncle Ben McDonald, 8:32 p.m. here. Night after the end of the series. First series recap where we didn't do it the night of, but it feels like for the first time in forever, the Orioles had a day off, so we decided to go ahead and push it as it was a late Sunday night game and, maybe one of the least memorable games of the year, right, Eric? I mean, the Orioles just kind of getting shellacked there by the Rangers. To end the series, it actually it feels like things are all as right in the world again. It's us three, me, Jake, and Spenny. Orioles lose the last game of an otherwise successful series, and here we are to talk about it. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
We're doing very well. The Orioles take 3 of 4. They win 11-2 in another shellacking, 2-1 in a close Friday night. Surprisingly low-scoring game, 6-5 on Saturday, and then 11-2, like you just mentioned. So the Orioles are sitting pretty, still percentage points up on the Yankees atop the AL East, who have absolutely stunk, regardless of how well Aaron Judge has done. So, yeah, hitting the midway point here, just about. The Orioles at 53-31 have crossed that threshold. 84 games in, gentlemen. The season is over halfway done.
Yep, and we've got a full kind of in-depth, going over the breadth of the first half of the season podcast planned for as we go into the All-Star break. A little bit of content for you guys to chew on there as we're dealing without actual Orioles content, but there will be some Orioles content over the All-Star break as Eric. The news that Gunnar Henderson will be participating in the Home Run Derby, broken, of course, by Gunnar Henderson, who just could not have sounded more over the moon about it on the Sunday Night Baseball broadcast, as he was probably more worried about just taking a ball, off the opposing player's bat right to the face than he was about announcing that he's going to be in the Home Run Derby. A tweet probably would have accomplished that, but it was very cool, and I like the fact that the guys in the booth there were trying to act all surprised about it. Then they didn't even hide the fact that they knew when they were interviewing Gunnar and Adley in the interview there for Sunday Night Baseball. Just kind of a fun thing, but overall thoughts. Gunnar in the Derby, Eric, I know you got a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there were people who, like, whenever it was announced that he was getting mic'd up, everyone's like, I bet he's going to announce he's in the Derby. And it's like, of course he's going to announce he's in. Like, yeah, that was always going to happen. So, again, you kind of assume that it was going to happen because I don't think Judge is going to do it. He had some comments, I think, where he's like, I don't, what do I really have to do it for, or something like that. But he's not going to do it. I'm sure MLB was like begging him. They're like, hey, we need one of the top two guys. Again, an AL East, a star, a 23-year-old, like we need either him or Judge, one of those two. So I was like, he's going to be in it. Like, I'm sure there's some nice bonus built in. He got, by the way, Gunnar all the guys who get mic'd up for ESPN Sunday Night Baseball and all that, it's a quick 10K in their pocket. So he basically got 10 grand to be like, yeah, I'll do that. So, and they talked about his shoes and all that, but yeah, I mean, it's cool. Again, it's a great opportunity for him. It's about having fun. Like, you have the people who are like, yeah, it's bad for him. It's going to mess up his swing. I think his swing is so pure. Like, he's going to be fine. Like, I looked at Adley's stats last year after the Derby. His average was higher last year after the Derby. Like, didn't see, he had 8 home runs after the All-Star break. I don't think that really had anything to do with the Derby or not. Like, it didn't break his swing. I think that's kind of like, I think we're falling back into like that being a myth. Everyone just remembers like, oh, Bobby Abreu was awful. Yeah, it's fucking Bobby Abreu. It's not Gunnar Henderson. Like, he'll be fine. We'll be good. Again, it'll be cool for him. He's 23. He can check it off, say he did it. So that'll be cool. Again, we'll be out at Jimmy's Seafood live podcast, watching the Derby, kind of chopping it up, commentating, having a lot of fun, drink specials, food specials. I'll be housing a Gunnar burger. Like, it's going to be awesome. So that's 2 weeks from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight, the 15th. So I'm pumped for that. Should be good.
What this Aaron Judge not doing it thing reeks of?
Don't.
It's your guy out there.
Oh,
the humble guy from Northeast Ohio just would never do the dunk contest. That's kind of, he's just too above it. That it reminds me a little. It's a little bit of LeBron situation, and I like LeBron, but
Judge, Judge is always hurt too. So like, I don't know. He may not want to do it, but LeBron. If they asked LeBron to be in the Home Run Derby, I bet he would do it. I bet he would. So.
Was never asked to be in the dunk contest, though.
Probably not. I mean, blame David Stern and Adam Silver. The kid from
I thought this was really cool from Sarah Langs, who's with ESPN, Baseball Tonight, all that good stuff. Gunnar Henderson doing the Derby. He would be the youngest Derby winner, younger than Juan Gonzalez in 1993.
Who won?
2 Orioles have won it. both of them shortstops. Cal Ripken in 91, Miguel Tejada in 2004. So able to maybe carry the shortstop torch. I'm definitely going to use that in my logic for why I bet on Gunnar Henderson to win, among other things. And I think you make a great point, Eric. What we've seen so many articles about this year is that Henderson has such a compact swing. It's not going to make him get like looser. The Baseball Savant does the distance of swing now, and his is consistently one of the shortest. He has a very quiet swing. There's just really not, his swing is in such a efficient place. There's just not a lot that really can be messed up. There's not a lot of margin to go one way or the other. He's also 20. He just turned 23. So when we're talking about, Bobby Abreu, how old was Bobby Abreu when he did? 29, 30? I mean, we're talking about spring chickens versus some maybe feathered roosters that have been crowing for a few years here. If there's somebody that should be able to do it and have it not impact them, it's probably someone who's 23 years old and, still quite spry and hasn't completed his second full year of Major League Baseball yet.
I liked Adley kind of talking to him in the interview there too, where they asked him sort of, what advice would he give? And they talked about how they kind of do their own little sort of home run derbies, just kind of when they're doing BP or whatever in some of the other games they play, but specific to the home run derbies that they do. It's kind of like, Gunnar likes to he kind of tries to do too much sometimes with those things. Maybe he'll go for like the 110 bat speed when like a nice smooth 103 will get it done. And it just kind of made me think, like, it's so funny how closely we associate these guys, and rightfully so, because, they went 1-2 together in the same draft. They came up at roughly the same time, but like Adley is like 3.5 years older than him. That's like hard to forget. And that's kind of a lifetime in sports to a certain extent. So it was kind of funny looking at him, just sort of like treating him as sort of a mentor-mentee relationship more, when it's almost like they're equals. And then Gunnar obviously is kind of the better player at this point. So it's just kind of a funny, fun dynamic. I don't really have a ton to add beyond that, but just what a joy it was to watch those two guys together.
Adley definitely a little bit more of a big brother. I mean, the way you just put it, Adley was a college senior. Gunnar was a college freshman. I mean, he's the, elder statesman for sure, and went through the whole college baseball experience, has had a lot more exposure overall, and was a way bigger deal. I mean, coming up, Adley's debut versus Gunnar's debut were really, I mean, maybe I'm embellishing a little, but catastrophically different. Adley coming up was a major event throughout Major League Baseball. Gunnar coming up was like, damn, he's number one prospect. He's, legit, but it was already kind of
on the road to Adley's first game at home. So.
Right. Well, and you remember Gunnar was on the taxi squad. It wasn't like they were like, oh, he's making it. They were like, oh, he's on the taxi. It was like him and DL, I think. And then they were like, oh, by the way, I think they're going to activate him. And like you're saying, like what an event Adley's debut was. I couldn't tell you who Gunnar played in his first home game. Like, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look that up tonight. But like, I could tell you. Was that the most
forgettable game of that year?
Probably, honestly, yeah, probably has to be. But like, I could tell you everything to know about Adley's game. Like, the tweet got sent out at 8 a.m. Like Preakness, blah blah blah, like all that stuff. Like Brett Phillips fumbling the ball in right field.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Couldn't remember anything about Gunnar's debut at home. So,
speaking of Orioles top prospects, Jackson Holliday just hit a 104.1 mile per hour home run, 390 feet. Kid looks like he's starting to really warm up. I've been holding him on my fantasy team this whole time. He's been burning up a spot. So hopefully he comes up soon here. Little Jackie Holliday. Chase McDermott also down on the farm. 7 one-run innings, 12 strikeouts, a dirty dozen strikeouts there. So some baby birds buzzing. Kobe Mayo's been going crazy. A lot of guys chomping at the bit. And of those, I mean, they could probably use McDermott right about now or soon. And they definitely might like to have Kobe Mayo come up soon. I don't know how much more there is for him to accomplish. And I don't know how much longer you can keep him out of the lineup. It was a little sidebar there.
Yeah, speaking of the ESPN broadcast, Garrett Crochet just getting a lot of airtime for a guy that was literally not involved in that game in any way, shape, or form, but there's a lot of ammo to go and get him. They're absolutely right. And, McDermott going out and doing what he did, he could be a nice sweetener to throw in some kind of pot for him. I don't think Holliday's going anywhere. I don't think Mayo necessarily would be either, but it just speaks to the fact that there's plenty of ammo to go around there. And I guess just overall throughout the series, boys, just top storylines that we want to touch on. I think for me, it's got to be Silent J, the Viking, the dude, little Heston Kjerstad, with the, grand slam that obviously it wound up being the difference in the game. It wound up only being a one-run game, obviously, because the Rangers would hit a homer of their own to bring it back close. But overall, that kind of stands out to me as really the one that we'll look back on. We talk about what do we remember these series? For me, it's Little Heston Kjerstad and the Grand Slam, rounding the bases there, given the good old fashioned fuck yeah, as Abby Miller put it. What a freaking moment that was. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was that was something to watch, that whole atmosphere that whole night. I didn't even think that ball was getting to like the warning track. Like when he hit it, I was like, that's not fly out to, deep right center field.
Fox had no idea either. They were kind of calling it lackadaisically, and then like I don't know if they weren't ready or what, but like maybe the levels weren't adjusted to the mic, because the mic got blown out on the call there, as I pointed out on the Instagram post. I mean, that was an interesting broadcast from Fox. I don't know. I think it was Adam Amin and AJ Brzezinski. Interesting kind of call there, and that's the Grand Slam call. I think for more for tech reasons, but yeah, that was. I don't know if they were ready for that moment. I don't know if they were ready for prime time like the Silent J was.
I thought AJ Brzezinski was awful. I thought he was terrible, and I've always thought I think he sucks. That guy stinks. Adam Amin, whatever, but it's like you could tell that this was just like a C, broadcast booth, and it was like you're better off just watching it on mute. Like this, it was awful. But yeah, that was really cool. Again, that whole atmosphere. Jake, I thought your tweet was perfect too, where it was like, when he was going through the myocarditis, like he probably had legitimate thoughts that a moment like that would never happen. And he was just kind of, I mean, he was the forgotten guy. He legitimately was like an afterthought from all Orioles fans. And I know kind of some of the stuff that he went through, and it was bad.
Right. And
wild.
What prompted me to tweet that was like, I had almost forgotten about it too. And then like I saw that moment, I was like, holy shit, this dude had like a heart thing like a couple years ago. Like we can't lose sight of that. And like I probably did at certain points, like, second overall pick. I remember he was a controversial one at the time. Everyone's clamoring for Austin Martin. RDT's talking about eating tweets or walking into the harbor or whatever if they don't pick Austin Martin. Ultimately, they don't. They go with Kjerstad, like I said, kind of controversially. And just wasn't able to put it together, and COVID, and then the myocarditis, and then all these other guys are kind of, working out. Santander kind of surprisingly working out, Ryan O'Hearn, all these like kind of bats in the lineup and position players that would otherwise block him. I mean, it's been a long, winding road for him. And yeah, man, that's kind of another, like we talked about the Craig Kimbrell, like putting his, hand up to the ear with the Philly fans. Like this is kind of another moment for me. And it's almost even more heartwarming, obviously, because you talk about a guy who goes through what really ostensibly probably is a life-threatening thing. He comes through the other side of it, and he gets a moment like that for, I guess, just the third home run of his career, and, second one within a couple days. And that is freaking awesome stuff. Gotta love sports. So yeah, that was a shout out to our guy, the Silent J there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his mechanics are just, I feel like they're so different from, and his approach is so different from really everyone in the Orioles organization. You mentioned Tony there. I think Tony maybe is the most similar in terms of how like loose it is and how much he's active with his hands and the big waggle. He's waving the batter, and he's a huge leg kick. And it feels like he swings like an anvil. Like he is not swinging a bat. He is swinging something that is like 10 pounds. And he really likes to be aggressive there. So the confidence, I mean, the dude's not young. He's been around the block. Like you said, he was the most prolific college hitter in his class and has mashed. I mean, he had a quick little stint up here this year. Wasn't great. Last year he had moments. Like it's not like he's this fresh kid anymore. So the confidence you love to see. And I love the dichotomy of having him in the lineup that is a little bit more of a swinging sledgehammer, I think. With a Santander to go maybe against kind of the Adley, the Gunnar, the more efficient kind of swing pads and quieter hands and things like that. So I think it's good to mix it up and have some different approaches and guys that are maybe a little bit more active with their hands and things like that, just for balance. I don't know, just for balance. So I love to see it. And you love to see the F yeah that he just unhurled as he went around the bases. Like, that was his coming out party for sure. And I think he's here to stay unless he ends up being a fixture on another team by August, which isn't out of the possibility. But the Orioles brought him up, and the intention is that he is now one of four in the outfield alongside Mullen, Santander, and Cowser. So that is a pretty diverse outfield that you have in terms of righty, lefty, in terms of, well, no, maybe not many righties, but skill sets in the outfield, type of hitter that they are, have some speed with Cowser and Mullins, have some power with, three of them. So a lot of possibilities. And I'm glad to see the Orioles starting to kind of filter down into, okay, maybe Hayes will just play against lefties here and there, and having that kind of clarity in the outfield, I think, is something that was imperative for them to get checked off as they're going to head into the trade deadline. And try to get even more clarity.
And we talked, I think we talked about it maybe before we went on with Buster, Spenny, you and I, but I mean, I tweeted it during his walk, I think on Friday night, or was it Saturday night, where I was like, the quality of at bats, and we talked about this with Mateo this year too, and a couple other guys, but the quality of Kjerstad's at bats this second time up, it's legitimately night and day. I mean, when he first came up, it seemed like he was being aggressive, but he was just swing and miss. And then, swing and miss at something in the dirt. It was 3 strikes or 4 pitches, something like that. Again, what did he see? 2 pitches on like his first 2 plate appearances, I think, this year. And he just so much better. So maybe that is all it took, was just that little reset, something down in Norfolk where he came up, was obviously bad. And then they sent him back down for, 3 weeks or something. They must have tweaked something, I don't know if it's mentally or what, but also see that he adjusted it. He came back. And then even again last night, he's going to get lost in the most forgotten game of the year. But I mean, he had that opposite field. I don't think was it a double, or was that just a single? I can't remember.
It was double.
Split the left and center field. Yeah. And, double. But again, he went to that power alley in left center field. So he's a really, really good hit. And again, he's just that forgotten guy. And even though he was the number 2 overall pick, he wasn't that sexy Adley 1-1. He wasn't that guy. And then again, we forgot about him, and he got buried by all the other, the other frat boy names. But I mean, again, weeks ago, it would have been, I don't care. Ship Heston out. Doesn't matter. He doesn't seem like he's going to be anything. Now it's like that. I think you have to get that left-handed bat in the lineup. And again, it's who would have thought that a guy like Ryan O'Hearn is keeping the number 2 prospect out? It was the best hitting college prospect in his entire draft. So we've said a billion cajillion times, just an embarrassment of riches. Like, they have a guy who's hitting 400-foot bombs, just sitting on the bench, and was down in Norfolk, and all it took was a little something to get him going. And the blonde bomber, the Viking, the whatever you want to call him. So I think Silent J has to be the number 1 seed nickname, but everything's been good for him. So I'm happy for him. Again, it's hard not to be pumped up for a guy like Heston. So good to see him produce some big spots.
Yeah, it's total found money. I think Hyde said something to the effect of like, the raw power is just on another level. Like, I think that was the exact quote. And it's like I texted this in the group the other night, obviously, or last night, which obviously was a washout of a game, but even on like a fly out that he had, like, he just kind of like flicks the bat, and like it just explodes off of it, like the ball. Like it's just like Hyde is absolutely right that it's like, you can tell when it's different, when a dude is kind of just maybe meant to be either a DH or kind of like platooning as an outfielder and then a DH. Like, I think he very much is that, but that dude was meant to mash baseballs, and it's absolutely needed. I think in a season where we've seen the bats go quiet at times, they can, use all the help they can get. And I think he could be certainly a guy that could provide it to them. And I think I'm right there with you that I don't know if I would want to trade him at this point, especially with the way things are looking right now. Certainly that could be recency bias, but we will see. What else stands out to you guys from this series?
Another young player that just came up, Cade Povich, had a really nice start on, what was that? Was that Thursday? Saturday, pardon me. Yeah. Saturday, goes 5 innings, lets up 5 hits. Most importantly to me, what stands out in the box score and stood out was walk no batters. The Rangers don't walk a lot. They also don't strike out a lot. They like to put the ball in play, and that can be a little scary in Camden Yards on a hot night. So thought Cade bounced back really well and continues to settle in. And I don't know, man, he's not the one getting sent down. He's not the one getting bumped out of the rotation. And the ability to look calm, cool, and collected has been really impressive. He is super stoic. He looks young. He feels young, but emotionally feels set in stone. And really has only had 1 bad outing so far. So rookie pitchers, can always be a crapshoot regardless of talent. And I think him and his demeanor and his resolve, even if he does get blown up, he doesn't look like it. The facial expression, he doesn't look like a ghost when there's guys on. He's not dripping in sweat. He's just firing the baseball. He has a really nice pace to the way he pitches. Obviously has such a wide arsenal and so much movement. And again, I'll shout out that Ryan Ripken video, how deceptive he is with the fastball. He throws 92, 93, but you're not seeing it till pretty late. That might feel like a 95, 96 because of that, and get some pretty solid extension too. So having him come up and be competitive right now, while we'll talk about Irvin, who got hammered, Suarez, we'll see. But without Dean, without Bradish, without those guys, Povich is making a statement right now just by being competitive. And I think we're going to continue to see him settle in. So I was really impressed with him overall and his ability to be competitive against a experienced and dangerous Rangers lineup.
Yeah, I thought Suarez looked solid in his most recent outing, but the last couple for Irvin, it's been pretty rough. RDT, where do you net out on kind of this B squad, as it were, which, without Bradish now, it's only 2 guys in the A squad as far as I'm concerned. The rest of these guys are kind of fighting it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the box score for Friday, and we were all there. We saw Big Al versus Scherzer, and I mean, Suarez kind of outdueled him, and obviously it's Scherzer's second start back this year, but I mean, 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 Ks. It was no masterclass by any means, but again, I mean, you talk about competitive and keeping your guys in it. That's exactly what he did, and I mean, he went pitch for pitch with Scherzer, and with the good guys got one over the fence with Kauser, and Mateo kind of really won that game with his base running that night. And again, we were at the game, so it was kind of hard we were in and out and whatever. But again, Mateo really kind of willing those guys, just tagging up on a ball from right field, which is one of the crazier, just great plays by him. And I think they said there was no play, obviously there was no signal or call for that. He just felt it and did it himself. And then he scored on a Gunnar hit. And I don't know if you guys went back and watched that, but I think the right fielder threw it and the ball almost ended up at third base instead of home. That's how bad the throw was. It was awful. But yeah, I mean, it was great to get that out of Suarez. Cause again, it's you kind of go into the Orioles games thinking you have to win a Burns start. You have to win a Grayson start. And then now the rest are kind of up in the air. So it's a win from Suarez. That's kind of like you said it earlier, found money. It's kind of found money. That's a little something extra. And again, same thing with Irvin. I mean, and Spenny has been all over this, his numbers and his metrics. And he was he's going to come back down to it's going to regress. And his breaking ball is just floating. It's just floating up there. And especially a team like the Rangers, we saw single-handedly what they can do last year. And obviously this isn't the same team, but Adolis Garcia is still very, very big and very, very strong. Corey Seager, even though he got plunked on the hand, still very, very big and very, very strong. You can't throw those types of pitches. Massive, 250.
One of the biggest in the world.
You can't throw those types of pitches to a lineup like the Astros, to a lineup like the Rangers. They will absolutely kill you. And that's exactly what happened. And it's been 5 starts now, I believe, for Irvin. And it's just been, it's been bad. So
he just doesn't have anything that's working across the face. Everything, or I guess away from the face, everything is coming right at you. He has a little two-seam fastball that he throws a couple times. And if you go through the rotation through the order 2-3 times, you're just seeing a lot of stuff that's spinning towards you. And on the ESPN broadcast yesterday, they were saying, hey, this guy has his heel dug the other way. He's trying to pull the ball. Yeah, and then he just keeps floating balls that are breaking right at him. And it's they said it time and time again. This guy it was
Derek Hill. It was Derek Hill.
Derek Hill, who hit 4 home runs and 300 at bats last year, as 2 of them against the Orioles.
It was in Round Rock 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody in the world sees it. I just don't think Irvin has a pitch that works against away off the plate. So he has a little margin for error. Can he be a long reliever? Sure. It stinks. He's a great guy. We love what he's done with the Barks and the big incident with all the dogs happening in Baltimore and all those things. Not knocking him as a person, but guy's just spinning balls over the plate right now, and you can't keep trotting him out there. I can't trot him out there again right now. Maybe I'm a little bit ridiculous and they want to give him more of a leash, but boy, oh boy, that feels awful to go send him back out there right now. He just doesn't have it. It's not even just that too. If I was watching very intently, he is missing his spots. He is missing on the other side of the plate, across the plate, other way, doesn't have the ball on a string. And if you don't have velocity and you don't have crazy stuff, and you don't have kind of that arsenal that can confuse hitters directionally, can't be missing spots too. So maybe he can rein it in a little bit. The dichotomy between him and Suarez doesn't get barreled, but gets hit a lot. Irvin doesn't get hit a ton, but gets absolutely pissed on when he does. He just misses spots and leaves those balls floating. So if I had to guess, I would say Suarez hangs around and Irvin heads into the bullpen and can be a lefty coming out. But man, the Orioles just need righty arms right now in that bullpen, and they don't have them. They could really use a righty starter as well. So we'll get into all that kind of stuff. But man, oh man, Cole Irvin, I feel for you. I hope you can turn it around, but I am not trying to trot him out. Maybe one more start. It feels like a guaranteed 5, 6, 7 runs right now, and it looks awful. Reminds me of Patrick Corbin on the Nationals from like last year and the year before. Just doesn't have anything to be deceptive with.
Yeah, and we had Corbin Burns, boomeranging on and off the paternity list there. It sounds like he's heading back to join the team, I think, in Seattle. And man, I saw a great tweet where it was like his wife literally just had a child, and here he is sharing highlights of himself on Instagram. That was like the only thing Corbin Burns posts.
I noticed that too.
He's a cocky fuck, and I absolutely he's just a quietly cocky dude, and like he loves Corbin loves Corbin, and I love that about him. It's so much fun.
I noticed that too, and you're dead on with that. Real quick, going back to Irvin and trotting him out one more time. The only thing is, so again, obviously it's a 3-game set in Seattle. Then you have Oakland, and then you have Chicago. I think I would be perfectly
that's a really
okay,
good point.
Let him go out in Oakland one time. And again, that's a 4-game series where, I guess you won't, or it's a 3-game series. And again,
he would play Oakland.
Yeah. So again,
you're right. You're 100% right. Great point.
It's Grayson, TBA. It's good. One of those is going to be Corbin. We just don't know which one. But again, so you can theoretically, I guess, get Grayson on Tuesday and then maybe on Sunday and then have him go for the Yankees again too. So, but then again, I would be okay with him, trying one more, give us a little something, Cole, maybe some Cole Irvin revenge against Oakland. But yeah, I mean, the guy had every chance and opportunity in the world to grab a rotation spot and really just put a chokehold on it, and just hasn't been able to do it. And again, very nice guy, and is awesome. Personally, and I hope, I want him to do well. Obviously, he's on the team, so I want him to do well.
You do want him to do well. You want him to pitch well.
I want that on the record. I want guys on my team to play well.
Very respectful.
100%. And he did I mean, like he kind of did. Like I know he was scraping it together, but like he did early in the season, and like obviously like, it just kind of swung against him. So like maybe he'll be back. We'll see what happens with Cole. But for right now, I think you guys are right. It might be time to just shut it down for a little bit,
or in the bullpen.
Bullpen. That's fine.
Chill in the bullpen, because again, you assume once Kramer comes back, they're just going to move someone out, and I don't even know who's going to go after. Who's going to get
there? Well, I mean, listen, there was a guy who at the very end of the bullpen was struggling there for a little bit, and everyone, and ourselves included, were just crying foul and shelling and yelling and dancing in the streets that we need to excoriate this guy and send him out to the lands between. And it turns out we were wrong, and we'll see what happens with Uncle Cole. But as of right now, not looking great.
That was a big one too. Craig coming in back-to-back nights. I think it was 3 out of 4 too, but back-to-back nights with the one-run lead, and he was able to save both of them. I mean, the Friday night was electric, and then Saturday, again, they hit that home run off Baker, and it makes it 6-5, and everyone, because again, everyone saw the stat going into Friday where it's like he's 0 for 4 in one-run save opportunities, and everyone's like, oh shit, here we go. Then it happens twice, in 2 days, and he converts both of them. And
it's funny, you don't see those same people tweeting credit to him, but I will.
I like the people coming up to you on Friday asking you about the stance. That cracked me up.
It's starting to get some legs, and I'm very happy about that. Somebody's got to spread the good word of Uncle Craig. Listen, my house has many rooms, and if you need some literature, feel free to come up to me at any point.
Good old Craig.
I'm having terrible visions right now. I'm not going to say them out loud, but I'll write them on a piece of paper and throw it away or something.
Yeah.
But Craig, I was pulling it up earlier. Craig is tied for 6th in baseball, tied for 2nd in the AL in saves. He has among the top 10 qualified closers. He has, I think, the 4th lowest whip. He's allowing 155 average. Has allowed 2 home runs to this point, 44 strikeouts, ranks 2nd amongst all closers there. Been pretty damn good, especially over this last stretch, and again, that elevated fastball, man, when it's biting, it's freaking tough to pitch. It can spin it right over your face. It feels like it's in the zone, and it's not. So hopefully I'll knock on some wood for Uncle Craig. He can stay healthy and keep it rocking and rolling. Yeah, I mean, we thought he might be an all-star. That was our kind of prediction when we did the Jimmy's preseason opening day show. We were like, the guy could be an all-star. Right now, he's neck and neck with Clay Holmes. They're tied in saves. Their ERAs. He's better in ERA. He's better in WHIP. So outside of Manuel Clase, probably the second most productive closer. You can, if you want to get into best or whatever, but production-wise, box score stat-wise, all that stuff, probably the second or right around the second most productive closer so far this year. We had a question here about Cano, confidence level about Cano. Cano hasn't pitched a lot lately. They were getting hammered for a while, so I think it's good that he's kind of been able to pump the brakes a little bit. He's just never going to look like he did at the beginning of 2023. He's never going to be, he's not going to be an all-star again. But he's a great ground ball pitcher. He can run the ball crazy with the changeup and with the sinker combo. So I think he has a very strong role for what he does, and he's one of the best ground ball relief pitchers in baseball. If you need a ground ball, you've got a guy that can go get some probably. So I feel like that's where I stand. I don't think we're going to see, he could probably turn on an electric stretch for some point and then get cold. I just don't think we're ever going to see anything remotely close to, he's not going to be a 1.5 ERA over a 20-game sample size or anything like that. I think the book is out on him a little bit. And shout out to my buddy Clay. I don't know if he's going to listen to this one. He listens to a lot of them, but he's like, with the sinker, if it's up, it has to be up, you swing. If it's not up, just let it run. It's not going to hit the zone. And you live with that. Like the sinker is such a huge bit. The changeup's a little different, but he lives off that sinker. And yeah, if it's elevated at all, then you can swing at it. If it's not, it's just going to freaking dive on you. So don't. I think that was a good way of putting it that made sense to me, at least. So I don't know. You like having Cano, Perez, Cano, they're fine. They're fine in there. They're going to get hammered a couple times here and there. They're just freaking MLB bullpen pitchers that deserve to be in, later-ish innings, and they're going to be in some high leverage spots. They've got some energy. Both of them. Perez is one of the most juice me up guys on the Orioles roster secretly, especially out of that bullpen. And Cano's got some electricity to him too. So I like the edge they have. I like the intensity they have a little bit. And they both have taken their lumps, and they just continue to get back out there and fucking roll. So I like both of those guys a lot.
Yeah, Cano's turned into a bit of a pumpkin, I think, but it was always going to happen. It was just kind of I think a Linsanity run, but it's not like a Jeremy Lin. To your point, he's a legitimate MLB relief guy. It's not, this isn't like some kind of complete fall from grace. And then Perez, obviously, you make a good point there. Great vibes guy. I think Brian called him in the group chat over the weekend. Just love seeing CNL Perez out there. He's another guy. We can talk about all these metrics and whip and war and all the saber crap. I got the eye test, these two eyes, and the eye test is telling me that CNL Perez passes the vibe test. So yeah, we're big into those two guys. I think Denny Coulomb is really missed to me. That's just another it just feels like there's just a real hole there that I don't know. I'm not going to say the ship is sinking, but you would like to be able to do something about it. You don't want to overextend yourself because the plan is for him to come back. But that's just one thing that I can't help but think when I'm watching these games, when you have a high inning, you're a high leverage kind of late inning situation.
Same thing about Means and Bradish. Anything you get out of Coulomb from this point forward is just a bonus. It's a luxury. On Cano real quick, and I'll pass it to Eric to unfurl, but Cano is 100th percentile in ground ball rate, 89th and 88th in chase and whiff. He, doesn't get barreled a ton. He gets hit hard kind of, but not barreled. It's not balls aren't just flying out of the stadium on him, but he does let up a lot of hard contact on the motion of that sinker. So he is a tall, whiffing ground ball pitcher, and that's a great guy to have in your bullpen, even if he's not, the best on earth. He has a role, and he has spots that you like him in very, very much so, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
No, I don't think it'll change. I do think that we are poisoned by the first 2.5 months we saw of him last year, because now everyone thinks, oh, well, he can just go back to that. And it's no, I don't think he can. That was an incredible run that he went on, and he was so good for so long. But again, the same thing happens with everyone else. Like you said, Spenny, the book is out on him. People, you realize what he's throwing, you know what trends to look for and stuff like that. I think guys like him and Perez, though, I think they really need this all-star break. Again, Cano has pitched a ton in the last year and a half. He went from basically an unknown to an all-star, and then, to one of the most high leverage guys in baseball. So again, he's played a lot of baseball. I think he's either top 5 or top 3 or something in pitching appearances this year. So he's thrown the baseball a lot. That's a guy who I think is people complain about Hyde and overuse and stuff like that. I mean, he's one of the guys that is overused. So again, I think this All-Star break is going to be good for him. 4 or 5 days off, just completely kind of shut it down. Don't worry about it. Get back out there and hopefully he can be, because again, there are times where it's kind of like Kimbrel, it's kind of like Ubaldo. That first pitch, if he's on or not. He'll throw a first pitch and you go, oh brother, here we go. He's looking for the zone. I mean, Friday night he did it. We're at the game. He walked 2 guys, right? And then he may have walked through 2 or 3. I can't remember. But again, I mean, he basically gave them that run just by walking those guys and not throwing strikes. Again, he's so gross. And I think that's what they told him going into last year. Like, your stuff is so nasty. Just throw strikes and it's going to fall off the table anyways. They're not going to be able to hit it. Like, just throw it and you'll be fine. But yeah, I mean, he comes through in some big spots and he's just never going to be that absolute lights out, what were they calling him? The Rock, remember, like the Rock in the Mountain, that kind of faded pretty quick, but he's still, again, he's a guy that you want in your bullpen. I'll tell you that. You maybe don't want him coming in the middle of an inning with guys on base. It seems like that's kind of where he struggles, but again, I mean, he's an arm that you have to have in there. So it's but again, I think the break is really going to do him some favors. The whole team, but him and some of the other bullpen guys specifically.
Absolutely. All right, boys. Any other takes from the series, from Gunnar to the home run derby? Anything else?
Anthony Santander has to be an all-star because of June. He has to be an all-star. He went crazy again in this series. I don't know. Maybe you guys can think better. I feel like my memory of over 5 years sucks when I try to think of sports and players and things. I have never seen a player maximize their athletic ability in the field more than Anthony Santander. Mm-hmm. He is not smooth, but he does smooth shit in a clunky way. I've never seen someone so consistently run down balls, take good angles, slide, and it looks weird, and he makes the catch, gun guys down. It is not even, aside from him having the second most, tied for the third most home runs in the month of June with 13 in any month for Orioles history. Maybe it was just June. I don't know. I might have fudged that one up. But in the field, explosive, had a huge ground rule double in addition to the home run he hit in this series. He is an anomaly. I don't think he gets enough burn. He's 6th in baseball in home runs right now. He's in a contract year. He's a switch hitter. He's the best power hitting switch hitter in baseball. And the guy is supposed to be a DH, but he is a good fielder. I do not understand it. And hey, right field in Camden is a nice little corner. You don't have to have absolute wheels over there. They've got guys in center and Mullins and left in Cowser that can probably protect him a lot. But I mean, the throw that he had was the longest play at the plate of the season. And man, he is just electricity. I don't know what it is when he is not sometimes this is my stupidest take. He just looks a little eepy sometimes, and I feel like that's when he's in a slump. Is he doesn't seem like high energy.
Eepy?
Little eepy. He gets a little eepy. I'm eepy. He gets a little sleepy, and I feel like he kind of gets in this little funk where he doesn't look like he doesn't.
Are you saying that he's not there cognitively?
Not
Maybe we need to give him a cocktail,
and then suddenly just bust out of it. We've seen it happen for over the last 2 years.
Golf handicap.
He just freaking storms out of it all of a sudden. We've watched it happen, and he legitimately can carry your team offensively. And I don't want to discredit. He is a Gold Glove finalist. He shouldn't be a Gold Glove finalist already. No. He could maybe, I don't know. Juan Soto is probably filthy. I check his baseball fine every now and again.
He stinks.
In right field. Okay, sure. But I don't know. Tony could very well maybe sneakily win a freaking Gold Glove. He does weird shit. Anthony Santander is one of my all-time favorite Orioles. I'm going to lay this down. He is goofy, he is fun, and he is an interesting personality as well as stylistically player. So appreciate him while he's here. He might not be here next year. We talk about the log jams. Jakey made a great point. O'Hearn, Tony, some of these other guys have just blocked these really highly coveted prospects. It's a great problem to have. But that guy's probably going to get, I don't know, $100 million contract. It's a freaking power hitting switch hitter that can play the field well. He's 29 years old. He's going to be
still young. That's the crazy. I was talking about this, I think, with you guys and my brother maybe weeks ago. he has the vibes of like a 32 or 33-year-old. He's not even 30 yet. It's crazy.
He feels like he's been around forever. And Spenny, you said 100 million. I would love to give him like a 3-year deal for 50 million, 60 million, something like a Trumbo like deal, what they gave to Trumbo.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I could see him getting a pretty big deal being a switch hitter.
I will say this. So I think the Orioles value him more than any other team will. Like, you hear that in football a lot. Like, this guy means more to the Ravens than he will mean to any other team. And it's just, I feel like they value him so much more than any other team would. Because again, I feel like other teams would not know his strength and just be like, that's a DH. That's a guy they were going to put him, he's going to hit every day and that's all he's going to do. But like you said, he makes these, and clunky was the word I was going to use. He's falling over himself, diving, making these plays. It seems like once a series.
But he always makes them. He always makes play. Like we saw Hayes, tripping over his feet the other night. That only happens like once a month to him. It's weird. Go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
Rule 5 guy, like, from a long time ago at this point. He's been around.
2016, I think they took him.
Yeah, 2016. Like, he's, I wouldn't say hometown discount necessarily he'd be willing to accept, because like, why would anyone ever do that in this day and age? But it could be a certain thing where, Eric, if they meet in the middle between what you guys are talking about, they could get something done. That would be really nice.
Just again, like a 3-year, maybe a 4th-year team option or player option or whatever. I know there are people who are like, the Orioles should offer him the qualifying offer, let him decline it. What is that, 18 or 19 million or something like that a year? 1-year deal, let him take that or let him decline it, and then hope the Orioles get a 1st-round pick, something like that. But he is the heart and soul of this clubhouse. If you talk to guys in there, everyone I talked to was like, Tony is the guy that like gets things going in the clubhouse. He's the funniest. He's the loosest. He's been here like the longest. Like him and Sed and Hayes, these old guys. But I love him. Again, he really truly has become one of my favorite Orioles. Not just because of the stats, but his personality. I mean, again, I want him around. You know exactly what you're getting out of him. And Spenny, you were saying it. You get good defense, not like average. Sometimes I think he plays a good right field.
Solid. He's a solid defender, and I say solid with that tone of voice.
But again, you also know you're getting 25 to 30 home runs. He's going to play pretty much every day. He doesn't get hurt. This is a guy. I mean, again, what he is. The book is out on him, and it's an awesome book.
He never walks. I mean, I probably was a little overzealous. He never walks.
But that's still
like, and he's not. He doesn't hit for average necessarily. He really doesn't hit doubles. Is the funniest part. He pretty much hits singles and home runs. And he doesn't. He doesn't strike out a ton. But yeah, I mean, I would say he is. We talk about Jordan Westberg, or we talk about like all these guys that are underrated, underappreciated. Like Josh Naylor. Teoscar Hernandez or anything. Pound for pound, Tony is probably one of the most underheralded, underrated players in baseball right now. Mm-hmm. His OPS isn't, that explosive or anything. He also did stink for like a month, but I don't know, man. That's part of what makes him so fun. He just stinks and then he's electric, and then he stinks and then he's electric. So, you wish that there was no stink, but he has that, and I like it.
It's funny, go ahead.
He talks about it before, because he's like, I think someone asked him and they were like, what's up with the slow starts? And he was like, I hate the cold. I hate it. He's like, Venezuela, we don't have cold.
Like, that Pittsburgh series is just like puttering and billowing as like snow is just like falling down around them. And like, who would have thought when June comes around and the weather gets nice, he's just clobbering baseballs every night.
Shocker. The guy from Venezuela. Yeah. Just, it gets hot. It gets above 80 degrees. And he just sends balls flying. But again, like, I said this in the preview, like, he'll have a month where he hits 10 to 11, 12, 13 home runs a month. It's literally what he did this month. I mean, it's one of the best months we've ever seen out of an Orioles hitter ever. That's prime Brady, prime Chris Davis, prime Manny Machado, prime Adam Jones, prime Cal Ripken, prime Rafi Palmeiro. Like, he's doing stuff that those guys didn't do. Like, he's a very, very good hitter. I would love to see him back. 2-year deal, because again, he's not really blocking any. And him being a switch hitter can change the lineup so much. You
prioritize him over O'Hearn so much. He's such a better defender.
Yep.
O'Hearn is a little bit more of a complete hitter. Can hit for average and walks a good bit more. But yeah, he can play a solid right field, and being a switch hitter, just feels comfortable over there. In June, he hit 264 with a 960 OPS, 13 home runs, 26 RBIs, only 3 doubles. He literally doesn't hit doubles. The last double he hit, he had a stretch from this is just random stuff. He had a stretch from June 4th. His last double before that was May the 15th. He went like weeks without a double for some reason, which is so funny to me. But he just, I don't know. He has like weird vibes. I don't know how to quite.
There are not many uncles on this team. He is Uncle Tony. He absolutely.
He's the funkle. Like he's the fun uncle.
Yeah,
he's and
100%. I love the salsa when he does his dance and get a little salsa going when he does his warm up song. Yeah, shout out to Tony. I mean, the ground rule double and the home run, massive in that game. So just massive.
I will say too, I sat behind his parents at one of the games I went to, and his dad looks identical to him. If you haven't seen his dad, just go look up his dad. And his mom is like the nicest. You can tell where he gets his personality from. His mom like walked into the section with her arms out and was just saying hi to anyone who would look at her. Like she is just a ray of sunshine. She is great. So we love Tony. I want to keep him. I would love for him to stay. It's not like he's blocking anyone. You could say Stowers, but again, everyone says it looks like a bong. Everyone thinks it's a bong. It's not like he's really blocking Stowers because of the switch hitting.
Stowers is getting traded this month.
Probably. He just hit another
Stowers is
night.
gone.
I don't know if you
There's
saw that.
nowhere for him. He's gone. Gone for a reliever. Stowers getting traded for a reliever.
Again, that him being a switch hitter, it changes everything with the lineup, and I think he is a perfect component to this team, a perfect piece. Like you said, he should be an all-star. Go out and vote right now. Everyone has to flood the ballot box and vote. If you go in incognito mode, you can vote as many times as you want. So
is that the only reason you go into incognito mode?
Spenny will tell you why to go on incognito mode.
Eric knew what was coming. That was an elite level deflection there.
Oh, yeah.
That was Stockton to Malone. You set me up there. I knock him back.
Which one are you, Stockton? Or you're Malone. You're
Jake's
Malone
probably
guy.
Malone. Jake's definitely Malone.
Yeah,
the middleman
for a few reasons.
Yeah.
Well, Spenny, you like Malone's kind of off the court stuff these days, right?
We already got you, Jake. You're already cooked.
Yeah. This is already
nice try. You're already dead in the water there. Any other thoughts on this?
You think you get me
out? Stop. Any other thoughts here? Any other final things? Gunnar is freaking sick. I hated the Lego cleats. I hated them from the beginning. I thought this is stupid. Watching that whole game, I fucking hated that game. Of course, I put $50 on Gunnar to have 2+ total bases. He breaks his on base. As I do that a lot, but of course, the Lego cleats, had mic'd up, freaking 0 for 4 with 4 fucking strikeouts. That pissed me off. Those Lego cleats pissed me off. Never again. Keep ESPN away. Keep the Rangers away. Keep ESPN away. I don't need any of the Rangers. I don't need any ESPN. I'm good.
Well, how else are you going to hear stories about Baltimore, this new phenomenon that's sweeping?
Buster and Eric and I have a close personal relationship now. We can contact them whenever we want. When the Orioles make a trade, we'll have them on. Talk about Garrett Crochet for the 450th time. Garrett Crochet. And we'll go from there. So we're good. We're good on all that. I'm good on Ravitch and the whole crew coming here with their fucking Lego cleats. The Orioles are just getting absolutely annihilated. And they're like, oh, Gunnar made a good play at short. It's freaking 10-2. I'm like, oh,
there you go, Gunnar Henderson. It was kind of like,
there he is. You freaking ground ball. He gobbled that one up.
You're just having an absolute like shit day, and then you make birdie on 16, and all your buddies are like, oh, there he is. It's like, yeah, cool. Went poo-poo in the potty, huh? Pretty awesome, right?
Exactly. So I'm good on all that.
I'll say this. I'll take the ESPN broadcast over the Fox, because the Fox was awful, terrible, horrible.
I thought they were both fine because I was actually able to watch them on television.
Oh, well, that too.
That'll do for you. That'll absolutely work.
I will say, go back and listen to. We've talked about it, but the interview with Buster I thought was really, really good. Spenny and I got some good questions in with them. Again, you don't have to like him. You don't have to like him because of the bad for baseball thing, stuff like that. I would just say hear him out. Again, he explains it all. Spen asked a great question.
All of his things that people hate have to do with him knowing the Angelos, knowing Peter very well, and knowing the Orioles organization. And all of his logic, he's not trying to poo-poo on the Orioles or their players or Mike Elias. He has issues with the owners and the tanking and some of the things like that.
He doesn't even, with the tanking, he doesn't even care about the Orioles, like he said. He just thinks it's like a baseball-wide problem, which is like
He made a great point. It's like the owners never address it because they know that they can just profit a ton of money while they tank and put the phrase he said that I love is borrow the competitive integrity of the opponent in order to basically profit. So good luck arguing on that with him. There's no winning on that one.
Maybe my favorite part of the interview, I don't know if it was on camera or not, but it was him swigging the Mountain Dew. He does not seem like a Mountain Dew kind of guy. It was
definitely a stark realization.
Sports writers are one kind of subsect of the species that has always interested me. Baseball writers are kind of like the additional, like that's another deeper level. Like there's something going on there with those guys. But great interview with Uncle Buster. I thought you guys did a fantastic job. So little in-house ad there for everyone to go check that out if you haven't already.
Yeah, that was a fun one. That one, Spenny and I both came away being like, he gave some awesome answers, and that was, again, I don't think we tossed him softballs by any means, but I think we asked him some legit questions. I mean, he went into the Adley and Moose thing and the bad for baseball, and we got his thoughts on trading and Jackson and all that other stuff. So that was one of the better ones I think we've ever done, and hopefully not the last time we have Buster on. Hopefully it's the last time they're covering the Orioles on Sunday Night Baseball, though, as long as Spenny has anything to say about it. But again, go out and vote. Go vote for these guys. Go get Ryan O'Hearn in the fucking All-Star game. That would be incredible. Go get him in there. It's like 2% behind.
There's no way he's going in over Alvarez. But go vote for him.
Behind him. He could get in. Mounty was like 10% behind. Of course, Vlad is now 19 RBIs in his last 10 games. Go figure. Crazy.
No shot. Orioles head to Seattle for 3 games, 9:40, 10:10, and then 4:10. Some afternoon matinee baseball.
What day is that, Thursday?
Thursday, 4:10 on the 4th. That's pretty sick. That's a sick time of the day for them to be playing. Then they head to Oakland on the 5th, 6th, and 7th before returning home after an off day on Monday, the 8th. The 9th, they have the Cubbies 6:35, 6:35, 6:35, including on my birthday there. And then they will host the Yankees ahead of the Midsummer Classic there. So Mariners leading their division, A's stinky, Cubs mediocre, Yankees struggling. We don't need to tell you about them. So a lot of interesting baseball coming up for the Orioles ahead of the All-Star break.
By the way, I don't know if this has really been talked about, but that Sunday game against the Yankees, it says it's on Roku TV, and it's at 11:35 in the morning. Jesus Christ.
Stay hot, baseball. I mean, like keep doing the right things. Like
it is 11:35. Yeah, I see it on the schedule.
One step forward, 2 steps back. Yeah, great stuff.
That is going to be the hottest game in the history of Camden Yards.
11:35. Sick. Love that.
That's a sunburn, like multiple people get too dehydrated and go out on the ambulance game.
Yeah, that's a tough one, but
it's going to be a scorcher. Got some rain this week, and boy, didn't we need it.
Boy, did we
Lord knows we needed that. I mean, I was just standing out looking through my window at it, just marveling at just making space for awe and wonderment at the world.
Anything else, fellas? I have to go watch Casa More, Love Island. So let's get out of here.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you all for listening. As always, a fun little recap show. I shouldn't even say little. It's a pretty extended one, but of course we took an extra day there to really absorb that series. A really fun one, of course, kind of a tough way to end it there. And obviously, of course, that had to happen on the national stage there with ESPN. But, a good couple days here for the Exit 52 guys with the Buster interview, with that series, and with the announcement that little Gunnar Henderson will be participating in the Home Run Derby, and we will be at Jimmy's Seafood 2 weeks from today as we're recording this. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. Get in the house for some good drink specials, and come up and chat with us. Have a good time. Thanks as always. Find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast across Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at Jake Louque. That's LOUQUE. Eric is at EDITTI22. Spenny is at Ravens4 Dummies. That is the number 4. You can find Brian at Barstool Banks. Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. Thanks again for hanging with us, and we'll talk to you guys again very, very soon.
See ya.
Arrivederci.